Parshat Behar 57:84, entering into the Hod Shebahod, into Lag BaOmer, and asking ourselves the relationship between Rabbi Akiva and Lag BaOmer. A lot of us know the famous story about Sfirat Omer regarding Rabbi Akiva. He was Zoche Baruch Hashem to build one of the biggest Batei Midrash ever, with 24,000 Zugot Talmidim, huge Beit Midrash. And in the period of time of Sfirat Omer, all of these quantity of students passed away. And Rabbi Akiva is standing at this moment that everything he expected was shattered, and asking himself, what now? Very similar to what we've been dealing with for the last 7-8 months, when everything we expected transformed. Everything we thought was a given became a question mark. Every comfortable moment became something that was a plea and not a statement. And so it's similar to when Rabbi Akiva was being asked himself, we too are being asked that question. Now that everything that we expected is unexpected, what now? And I think to answer this question, we have to go into the concept of the fire. Baruch Hashem, we have 4 holy cities in Eretz Yisrael. We have Hebron, about Afar, which connects to the idea of consistency, and we'll speak about it at a different time. But the idea of Tveria, connected to the element of water, the concept of figuring out what's going on internally. We have the idea of Tzfat, the ability to go beyond to areas that are above. And then we have Yerushalayim Yer HaKodesh, that's connected to fire. And so specifically, what is the educational message of fire? And fire is something that is enormous. But with all of its enormity, it began from a spark. And the idea was the spark is that you believe in it enough to feed it the wood, or did you see it as something that was just a spark, and therefore it went out and became smoke? And that's the secret of fire. How do we translate what's our perception of the shniya, of the moment? Do we see it as the beginning of forever, or for it is only what it is? Is a moment just a moment, or is the moment the beginning of eternity? Speaking to the Chevra in Sanchanim that went through the disaster of last week, they had to experience what it meant 1 second in this room or in that room. The Shmirah began at 6:30, and that at 6:33, when the missile hit, they were in a different room. And that those few minutes, few moments, few seconds were the difference between the greatest celebration of being able to have the gift of speaking to these great leaders and the vulnerable reality that Am Yisrael has been through, that things can be lost in 1 second. And that when you look at that 1 second, you could just say it's random, or you could say it's a decision that we need to make 1 second the beginning of eternity. And that's why the words shniya and shinui are the same. How do we view the shniya? Is it something that is shoneh, it's just another second and another second? Or is it shinui? Is it the gateway for any big change in the world? And so Rabbi Akiva stands at that moment where he lost 48,000 students. And he says, I have 1 second right now to make a decision. Will I build another 5 Talmidim? That the quality of them will continue the Jewish people forever. They're just a small group. But it's not about the amount, it's about the perception. And that looking at the bonfires on Lag BaOmer is asking us that same exact question. Do we realize that what Rabbi Akiva was going through is what we're going through? And that we have to be able to look at every small thing as the beginning of a decision that we need to make to feed them, to feed every child and Jewish people the spiritual needs that they have, to feed our families before we forget and run away into our jobs, to feed our inner world before we're servants to our external world. And we should be Zoche Be'ezrat Hashem to Lag BaOmer, that we see that the spark can be the beginning of a whole new world.